Archive Review. My name is Daniel Vallis and welcome to our channel. Please keep this ministry in prayer. We are continuing to have technical difficulties that are very frustrating that limit what we can do at the moment. So I'm going to keep this very brief. We've been examining the timeline and we've been looking at some of our radar timelines that we've archived in the past and just notes that we've made along our learning journey. And in doing so, we found some important markers that are coming up again on the calendar, but also coming to a 12-month mark too as well. And these were very important things that we noticed a year ago. And so I have updated the timeline. Definitely download it. That's the best way to read it and study it. There is a link in the description box. But just zooming in on where we are right now, there's a lot of things that we noticed 12 months ago that are coming into play now. Particularly 12 months ago, on the biblical calendar, the comet Catalina, which means purify, made its close approach. And we noted that at the time that it was catching the world's attention, a celestial reminder to purify our lives. And this is on our learning journey as we were approaching Purim. And so we were already studying that in context with Esther. And that reminded us in Esther 2 that she was given 12 months for her purification. The Bible emphasized it and went into detail. She was given 12 months for her purification before she went to the king's house. We've been looking at the 10th month, but we should also keep in mind she did not go to the king's house till those 12 months were done. And they were connected to purification. So here we are 12 biblical months later from that sign and a lot of other things we saw with that. And it should remind us, are we making ourselves ready? Are we purifying ourselves? Are we preparing ourselves? This 12-month mark is coming up in just a few hours. But then also, we re-examined and looked at the sign of Jonah. We noticed this 12 months ago on a biblical calendar, and we didn't quite fully understand it or come to a complete conclusion about it, but we did note that it was all coming together. And basically, right at the calendar time of the fast of Jonah, which is also called the fast of Nineveh, which they commemorate largely in that area still. It's a historic event that they still recognize and commemorate. But at the exact same time was the major Jonas storm that entered Washington, D.C. and then eventually went over to the UK, caused a lot of problems. But at the same time, there's a whole bevy of whale beachings at this exact same time. It really went off the charts, and even the news was noticing how there was a major uptick in the whale beachings all of a sudden. And it definitely got the world's attention that in just a few days, that whole area got what normally they would get over the length of a year with whale beachings. And so it caught the world's attention, drawing attention to a lot of the pictures with Jonah right at the time of the fast of Jonah. And then even the enemy put out certain things with the Sundance Film Festival and the Goat movie with Jonas, very disturbing. Right at the exact same time, they knew this was going on and the significance of it. And now we find ourselves at a 12-month mark coming up on it again, and we've looked at the pattern of Nebuchadnezzar before. He was given a 1-year warning in advance. We looked at that picture right at the same time we were looking at the 12-month reminder with Esther too. It should catch our attention that both these topics are coming up again on the calendar right here, right now, together. And Jonah was sent to Nineveh to warn them that judgment was coming if they did not repent, and they were given a certain amount of time. There's a lot of patterns that we've been seeing lately, too, connected with Nineveh and that region, that the enemy knows what time it is. And it should impress upon us we are at the end of many peace and safety warnings at a 1-year mark for that already. We are expecting sudden destruction already, and here we are reminded again we are 12 months away from the sign of Jonas, reminding us that judgment is coming. And then also on the calendar, I was reminded about this, the New Year for trees is coming up. And this is important. On a biblical calendar that we've been following that actually lines up with the agricultural cycles, which is different than the rabbinical calendar. They're a month late. But the New Year for trees is going to be commemorated in just a few days. And this is very strongly associated with the replanting of Israel. This is commemorated a lot. This is how they view this particular holiday. But it's also considered the start of spring in Israel because the almond trees are starting to bloom around this time. But very powerful ties to the prophetic pictures of Israel being replanted. And then the very next day is the Paris Middle East Conference. Very convenient. They know what time it is. There's a lot coming together, and I highly suggest you download our booklet, Exodus 2, The Bride Goes to the King's House, the 12-month, 2-part Esther pattern for purification and preparation. And we made this a year ago as part of our early learning journey as we were looking toward Purim and with the celestial events of the first star of Bethlehem that pointed us in that direction. But it is amazing to look into it and see how we have further clarity on things we took notes about before and how they're coming into play now. So definitely check it out. There's a lot of details in there. You can learn more about the sign of Jonah that we noted at that time and other celestial and sky events, and then more details on celestial signs that are happening right at this time. There's a lot that happened that we noted that is now coming 12 months later into play and into remembrance. And it caught my attention as I was putting this stuff on the timeline in connection with the calendar events that are happening this year on the calendar too as well, that we called the booklet at the time Exodus 2. The bride goes to the king's house, the 12-month Esther pattern for purification and preparation. Exodus 2. And it's coming into play again here, right during the commemorations of Exodus in the biblical readings on the biblical calendar, right at the same time that celestial events with the crossing are reminding us of the Red Sea and crossing the Jordan. Events connected to Exodus at this time where these memorials and where these 12-month markers are coming into play again. There is a lot coming together. Download the timeline, study it, download the Exodus 2 booklet, study it. There is so much coming together. Lord willing, we will keep you updated, but let us look up for our redemption draweth nigh. Maranatha.